A red flag is him talking about another woman in your presence. And the interesting thing is, I be listening. But the gag is, I know for a fact, oftentimes, whenever I come across a guy that starts to either speak about another woman in my presence, and not even in the sense like he's talking about his mother or some boss or, anything of that nature. It's the fact that he's bringing up his past experiences with women, and then sometimes you might hear, some remnants of how he used to feel.
Hey, welcome to my channel. I hope you are fine. Hope you're having a lovely day. It's your girl Kathy, single mama, getting her groove back, encouraging you to do the same, or encouraging you as you do the same. How are you doing? All right, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be showing you a few clips, some ladies talking about some red flags that they ignored, with the hopes that you have enough time to run. Or even if you don't have enough time to run, or if you've missed red flags, we've all been there. I've been there. All right. That's why I'm like giving that hint of red to show you that I've been there. We've all been there. So if you can put it in the comment section, some of the red flags that you've missed, or if you could go back to the past and advise your younger self, what would you tell them? All right, put that in the comment section. So let's watch these clips together and learn a few things. Or if you've got some nuggets to share, I would love to read them.
Actually a red flag if someone is not that into you. And it's a red flag that so many of us choose to ignore because we're like, oh, challenge accepted. What can I do? What hoops can I jump through to get this person to be more interested in me? And that is a huge red flag. If they're hot and cold with you, 1 minute they're really into you, the next minute they totally ignore you. That kind of inconsistent behavior is perhaps the biggest red flag for most of us. So thinking that you can change them, trying to even change them, trying to get more food from them when they're just giving you crumbs, that is a huge red flag.
Here are some dating red flags that I've completely overlooked in the past. Number 1, not asking me questions. It wasn't until the relationship was over that I realized he never really asked me questions. And that's a red flag because it's like, are you even interested in learning about me? Number 2, not willing to share or talk about their previous partners. I definitely overlooked this because I was like, oh, well, maybe it's a touchy subject, or maybe he's still processing. But never knowing about their previous partners is a red flag because it's like, is there something that you don't want me to know? Number 3, low effort dates. Dinner and a movie is a classic. It's a classic. But if you're always opting for dinner and a movie, babes, what are we doing? You're giving me crumbs and you're done.
Here are red flags from my last relationship that I ignored, that I regret ignoring. Oops. Early on in our relationship, I posted this on my Insta story and he got upset and told me that he thought I was an angel and he didn't want to date a girl that posted pictures of herself like this. And I was like, wait, that's actually perfect because I don't want to date a guy that controls my social media. He said, fine, he's willing to put up with it. And I was like, thank you so much. That is so cool of you, seriously, thanks. Then a couple months later, I posted this picture and he blocked me. For 2 weeks, he blocked me on everything. And I didn't know if I had a boyfriend or not because I was blocked. He couldn't handle hearing any other guys' names. Like, he wanted to live in a world where I had no exes and where basically he was the only guy I had ever met in my entire life, ever. Really early on in our talking stage, he needed me to be exclusive to him. And I was like, wait, so are neither of us seeing other people then? And he was like, no, you are not seeing other people then. Just you. Just you. His explanation was he needed to have girls on the side because there was no way I wasn't cheating on him. In his eyes, I was definitely cheating on him, even though I had no time because we fought every 5 minutes. The fact that this guy could keep a job astounds me because dating him alone was like a full-time job. And then I found out that he had 200 other girlfriends on the side. I can't even imagine the hours that this guy put in. He posts constantly on social media, and when I met him, I stalked him, and there was a lot of like content about how girls are so shallow and all they want are like guys to pay for them and stuff. I was like, is that a relevant problem for you? Like, what scenario are you talking about? I'm sorry. Really early on, there was like an intense neediness. Like, and at first I loved it. I was like, maybe I am awesome. But then it turned into like almost obsession. Like he would monitor my following counts, who's liking my pictures, who's commenting on my things. One time in the middle of the night, I woke up to a long email saying that he had to block me on everything and leave me because in 2019, I liked my ex's picture when we had broken up in 2017, which means that 2 years after we broke up, I wanted to get back together with him, you know? He basically convinced me that I was a problem and a bad person, just in general. But it's not my fault. It's everyone around me's fault, including my closest friends and family. And I really believed him at one point. Like I started going home for oh my God, I went home for Christmas and I was like, Mom, you suck. He told me his ex-girlfriend punched him in the face. And at the time I was like, she sounds crazy. But now I'm like, is there a video? I'm just wondering. In his eyes, I was either an absolute angel on this earth that is gracing him with my presence, or I was the devil. I was all bad, I was all good. Sometimes when we were in really bad fights, he would like leave snarky comments on my posts. And one time a 12-year-old was like, leave Becca alone. And he was like, I'm Becca's boyfriend. And she was like, Becca would never date you. I should have listened to that 12-year-old. So yeah.
A red flag is him talking about another woman in your presence. And the interesting thing is, I be listening. But the gag is, I know for a fact, oftentimes whenever I come across a guy that starts to either speak about another woman in my presence, and not even in the sense like he's talking about his mother or some boss or, you know, anything of that nature. It's the fact that he's bringing up his past experiences with women, and then sometimes you might hear, some remnants of how he used to feel. My thing is, like, why are we speaking about another woman? It's the fact that you just met me. If you are getting to know someone, there's so much things to discuss between you two, but it's the fact that while that is happening, the time is being spent speaking about his past, another woman. What is that about? Is that like free therapy? Like, what is this about? But anyway, it's the fact that a man can be so comfortable in speaking about another woman. I have to draw the line there because I know for a fact that is not something that they would be comfortable with me doing. I know for a fact if I start speaking about the men that I have dealt with, I know for a fact they're not going to want to deal with me anymore because they can't. They can't match that. And it's not like I would bring up these men with intent to make them feel bad or match that energy. But it's the fact that I have learned through my own experiences where I have created a space for a man to feel comfortable in talking about another woman for whatever the reasons. But it was in me realizing that when I do that, their ego does not do well. I don't know what that is about. I think that men tend to measure. They tend to measure, or they care about, I don't know what it is, but men, they tend to care about what men you used to deal with. And I don't know if they need to kind of figure that out because they often need another man to teach them how to be. So they're often assessing to see what treatment you have to kind of assess to see how they should treat you. It's very weird. It's giving fatherless behavior because my thing is there has to be some type of standard. And if not, just be yourself and let me see what you got. But a lot of them don't have much to give. Not without someone having to train them or teach them. Unless, of course, the woman is probably naturally manipulative, or she might do things to kind of elicit a particular response from him to get him to act right. Don't nobody got time for that shit. But I say this all to say is the fact that the same energy I have created a space for them to be comfortable in, I know for a fact that anyhow I bring that to the table and do that with them, they're going to be very uncomfortable. They are not built for the energy that they often are so comfortable with giving.
What's a red flag that you purposefully ignored because you liked someone? I'll go first. So I was willing to ignore a lot of red flags in the past because I was so bored in my love life and it needed a little shaking up. And so I ended up really liking this one guy. And I've really never been the type of girl to be okay with any type of controlling behavior. I will shut that down so quick because I cannot be controlled. For some reason, he was giving me everything else that I wanted at the time. I think it comes down to controlling behavior being a part of an insecure man, and I just can't deal with an insecure man. The very first red flag that I saw, he asked me what my body count was. And it is just extremely inappropriate to ask someone that, especially in the very early stages of dating. How old are we? Are we 15? It's just giving insecure. It's giving immature. It's just grow up. You guys ask you that question, just run. Just save yourself some time and move on. Red flag number 2, he was so upset that I booked a vacation with my girlfriends. And not only was he upset that I booked a vacation with my friends, but he also wanted to know the outfits that I packed because he didn't want me to be in anything that was like too revealing. And first of all, we hadn't been talking for that long. It had been a couple of weeks and he was really upset. If he's insecure about that week 2, I mean, it's only gonna get worse. Red flag number 3, he went through my Instagram following, which isn't the end of the world. I do the same thing. I go through someone's Instagram following. I want to know what type of accounts you follow. Are they inspirational? Are they bad bitches on Instagram? Are they just your boys? I don't know. I want to know. And if you're only following a ton of Instagram models, it raises some red flags. However, that's not the red flag. He sent me 5 different profiles of guys that I follow. And he's like, these people aren't even following you back. Why do you even follow them? First of all, why do you know that? And why did you take the time to go through every single one of my following to show me people that you would be insecure about? And then he sent me 2 other profiles and he's like, why did you follow these guys after we met? Yeah, that was my last straw. And it did not end well.
My first relationship was like very toxic. It was a lot of stuff that was just blatantly abusive, blatant obvious signs of cheating, being unfaithful. You know, him just doing whatever he wanted to do. And when the relationship ended, I really honestly struggled with forgiving myself. I struggled with forgiving myself for ignoring the red flags, for ignoring blatant signs of cheating, being disloyal, being abusive, being one-sided. Obvious things that showed they were not treating me how I was supposed to be treated for a long time. Since we first met, actually. But I just let it go and I let stuff slide in the name of love, in the name of liking them, in the name of, you know, just wanting to be in a relationship. And I feel like a lot of us can relate to this. And on a platform where I speak so much about standards and don't go for BS and know your worth and stuff, it's been a time where I didn't know my worth and I let someone slip and slide and just do anything with me. And, you know, when it ended, I really struggled with forgiving myself for that. I'm like, you're so stupid. How could you do that? Why would you ignore all the signs, all the red flags in your face? It was so obvious that you were being manipulated. And I harbored a lot of resentment for myself and guilt because it's just like, I know that I knew better. I know I knew better, but I still let obvious disrespect slide in the name of love. And I had to learn how to give myself some grace because you can look at someone else's situation from an outsider looking in, and you can spot the obvious disrespect and red flags from a mile away. That's how we're able to give our homegirls such good dating advice, and our own dating lives are trash. Because when your own mind, will, your emotions, personal connection, personal attachment is actually involved in the situation, it's not as easy to just kind of think with common sense instead of thinking with emotion, thinking with your heart instead of thinking with your mind. And I feel like as women, we all do it. So when you find yourself where you're in a situation where you're struggling to forgive yourself for doing that, just remind yourself that it is natural. And when you first do something, give yourself grace and plan to not do it again. Learn that in life you're going to make mistakes, but when you make those mistakes, you need to actually take the knowledge away from it and have the wisdom to not repeat those same mistakes in the future. You know, forgive yourself. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. But the biggest takeaway is you don't repeat the same mistakes moving forward. Every mistake or whatever is a lesson. So you really should forgive yourself. You don't need to hold those things over your head.
It's normal for us as women when we like someone to change our boundaries, basically. Like for one person, we have these sets of standards, right? And for another person, we have a totally different set of standards. But the key thing is keeping the standard regardless whether you like them or you don't like them. Of course, yeah, it's harder when you like them. You're like, I really want to do extra for you or go the extra mile, but you must fight yourself. That's why it's important to heal. And I know people are like, oh, they roll their eyes. I bet you're rolling your eyes when you hear the word healing, because it's like fluffy and all of that, it's the craze right now, but really it's very, very important. It's not just a buzzword, all right? plug into your faith, your spirituality, whatever it is, right? You need healing, therapy, counseling is very, very important so that you're not coming from a space of lack, of feeling like, no, there's nobody else out there for me. So I'm just going to take whatever I can take. You know, I'll put up with anything. Alright? So, I hope you found the video encouraging, you know. If so, please subscribe. If you want me to do more of these videos, let me know. Subscribe, and you can also use my link. It's in my description part of YouTube. Use the link to get some free stuff in terms of like journaling, counseling, all the good stuff, right? So that we are elevating and coming into or going into relationship from a good space, or coming out of relationships and landing into a safe and a good space. Does that make sense? Alright. You have a lovely day. If you're feeling my look, just going for a bit like you know. Alright. Okay. Love you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.